overcame. I remember when I first started Milano Di Rouge, I was making money, but I wasn't seeing it. I went to visit my dad in prison, and he was telling me, explain to me your process. So I told him, when I get shirts, we're selling out. We're always selling out. He said, okay, so when you sell out, how long does it take you to replenish your inventory? I said it take about 2.5 weeks. He said, okay, so that's your issue. In those 2 weeks where you're sold out, you don't have any money coming in. And that was an aha moment for me. It may have been as simple as that, but it changed the game for me. So my goal was to never sell out. Now, sometimes we have products sold out on our website because y'all love us so much, so I appreciate that. But my goal is to never sell out. Another adversity that I faced, I remember I was in the living room with my mom, and I told my mom, I want to scale my business. So I started off with t-shirts, and I was trying to go into sweatsuits. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, if you give me this $1,200, I promise, and I promise I won't ask for nothing else. So my mom told me that she didn't have it. And then like 5 minutes later, I was sitting on the staircase. She walked down and she put a check in my lap. And I told her I would pay her back. I paid her back times 300. Shout out to my mom in the building. She is Milano Di Rouge. She all. But I say this to say that adversity and obstacles will always come. You know, challenges and obstacles are meant to be overcome. You gotta use it as a lesson. You gotta learn from it. And you gotta ask God, what is this meant to prepare me for and teach me? And just allow it to let you grow.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Angela, most of us see you on the Breakfast Club, but we didn't know that you started off as an assistant for RZA. And you have a juice bar, a coffee business, a hairline. I could go on and on and on, girl. I kept Googling her. I said, okay, it's over. So what advice would you give to women who might not feel as if they are ready to launch another business and they don't have like the experience in the other field?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to do your research, right? A lot of times people want to start a business, but they're not looking at other businesses to see how they've developed and grown their business. You also have to look at if it's a brick and mortar location, is this the best location? Because the number one reason businesses that are brick and mortar don't work out is because of location. So you have to make sure of that. Also, I think the hardest part was access to capital and how can I fund this business? And you do, I feel like, have to invest in yourself. It's really hard to ask people for money to invest in you when you haven't invested it in yourself. So that means that you have to show like, okay, have a business plan, show your proof of concept, show that, okay, this can work. I started up with this, I started really small. I think that's important too. Sometimes we have these grand ideas of what we want to do and we want everything to happen at once. But like Milan might say, you start off with a t-shirt and then you let the business grow from there. And for me, you know, I started off with opening the juice bar and I partnered up with Styles P. And for me, he already had 3 successful businesses. I went to the juice bar, did my research, I looked at locations, I went there, studied it. Every day I was looking to see how much traffic there was. It was near a school, it was near a train. And so I did my research in that way. And then I made sure when it was time for me to open, I looked at the overhead. Sometimes we invest so much money into things that we don't need to. And so if you can talk to somebody that can mentor you, that has already done the thing that it is that you're trying to do and get some advice, that can save you a lot of mistakes, and mistakes can be really costly. But they can also be learning lessons, and I think we can get discouraged when things don't work out. We invested all this money into something, and then we're like, man, I just wasted all this. But it's really a learning lesson. And a lot of times those lessons can be really costly, but they can be super valuable too. So I just think it's really important not to get discouraged, to make sure that everything that doesn't go right, you just look at that as a life lesson and say, okay, this is what I need to do moving forward. And the other thing I would say is sometimes we get really stuck on how we want things to be. This is how I envision my business, and I want it to be exactly like this. Well, that might change. Like when I started my pressed juice business, I thought it would just be online. But the cost of shipping was so expensive because things had to be refrigerated, if people weren't home to get it might go bad if they didn't get it in time. There were all kinds of issues with that. So I had to pivot and change the direction and the model of the business. So sometimes it's as simple as saying, okay, this didn't work like this, but maybe I need to change direction and work it out like this. And so I've been able to just kind of shift things around and figure out how can this work, because truthfully, being an entrepreneur sounds really sexy to say, I have my own business, I'm doing this, but I think anybody can tell you it is sometimes really depressing, sometimes really lonely. There's certain people in your life that you may have to cut off because they don't have your best interests, and
say it again. Can we say that again?
And a lot of times we have so much loyalty to people, and that can be a cancer to you when you're working so hard. Sometimes you do have to be selfish and say, okay, for the best interest for my own mental health and for me being able to do my business and be effective, I do have to say, you know what, I gotta stop saying yes to everybody and just saying yes to me and what it is that I have to do.
Can we get a round of applause for that? I like that you said, cut people off or release yourself. And sometimes it's like releasing yourself of people or things that no longer serve you. And that helps you elevate. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, Pinky Cole, I have to jump right into it. At this point, she's like the mayor of the living, all right? So let's start here. Studies have shown that 59% of women would like to get funding for their business growth, despite the fact that they are not getting as much funding as men. But you recently announced that you raised $25 million in Series A funding, which pushed your brand valuation to about $100 million, right? Can you talk about how you structured this deal and give some business owners some advice on how they can go about getting some funding to grow their businesses?
Well, first of all, $25 million in the bank is a lot of money, right? But you ever had $25 million and you like $4 million in debt and you gotta pay the bills off? I've seen so much money coming in and out because being in the restaurant industry is the hardest industry that I've ever been in. So before I talk about how to structure it, how many people in here got restaurants or service-based business, like consumer-facing businesses, right? So in order to get investors to be interested in what you got, you're not selling a product. You gotta build something so irresistible that people love you, people love the story, and people love the idea of what you're selling. Now, if you can get them to buy into the idea, they will buy the toilet tissue out the toilet, right? I'm metaphorically speaking, but you gotta be so organic with who you are, what your brand story is, because eventually there are going to be people with the 25 million and the 30 million and the billion that want to give you the money because you are so confident in yourself. So when investors saw me, they're like, oh, she believes in herself, she got this business, line is down the block, a lot of people want to support this, we want to be a part of it. I've never had to walk and knock on somebody's door and ask for money, right? And I didn't do that because I had my head in the books, y'all. When I tell you from the marketing to the story to making sure the consumer was happy, because oftentimes we forget about that part. They're the people that keep the lights on, they're the people that pay the bills. So I had my head so far in the books that when it was time for investors to come with me, I had the option to say, I want to work with you, I don't want to work with you. I get in bed with you, but I'm not working with you at all. And that's
what I'm talking about.
That's the beauty of building a brand that's so memorable that people want to be a part of. So a lot of people threw money at me, to be honest. And I knew that it had to be very intentional on who I decided to do business with, because I'm growing a $1 billion brand, right?
Wait a minute. Say it again, sis. She said $1 billion brand. I need y'all to clap it real hard.
And if you don't got that mindset, then you need to get another business. And it's not about the money, right? It's about the idea of creating a legacy and breaking generational curses. Just like Milan, my father did 22 years in prison. So I don't know what it feels like to grow up in a two-parent household. So I had to get it out the mud, bootstrap my business. Nobody handed me anything. I had to really get it in a way where my Jamaican parents could see me make it and not have to struggle, right? So when the money came, I'm gonna be totally honest, y'all. The idea of getting money from somebody else, I was nervous because it was always, this is somebody and knowing that you gotta give up a piece of your business for somebody else's dollars. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but when they give you money, you give up a chunk of your business. So when I had to do that, I got into a depression because I'm like, I work so hard, 16 hours a day, long nights, losing weight, gaining weight, having people trying to sue me, and now I'm giving you a piece of everything that I worked hard for. But I realized that you go further together. And when you're in business, you gotta understand that 0% of zero is zero, right? If I wanna win and I wanna win big, I gotta get with the money team. I gotta get with the people that have already won and have proven that they can scale businesses so that I can be sitting up butt naked with a cocktail and a coconut on the beach. Okay, and this is the last piece of my next question. You talk about structure. So this is the last piece I'm gonna tell you. We're all creatives. Again, I can only be transparent. I know my ministry and I know what's not in my ministry. I'm a creative genius. I can think about business ideas all day long. But when it comes to the money and the structure, that's boring to me. I count my money. I make sure that my money is in the bank and ain't nobody stealing from me. But you hire people that are smarter than you or as smart as you to do those things so that you ain't gotta waste your brain space trying to figure that out. Instead, you can focus on the things that you love to do, like thought leadership and growing the business. So that's what I did. I just promoted my CRO to president, right? Because he's my money man, and he has those high-level conversations, and he comes in, shows me all the information, and I say yes, no, maybe so. And he built the structure because I worked on building a team to hiring the right people. So I hope I answered your question. You answered the question, girl.
So I love that. So you guys need to
Make sure you understand if you don't know what a trust is, you need to learn. Go ahead.
See, I didn't understand these things, but I knew I had to learn it. And as I learned it, I started to apply it. When I first started looking for the space for my warehouse, I looked in Dallas, Texas, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and then I just decided to build and grow in Atlanta, which is my home. I've been looking since
ATL show.
I've been looking since January. It's been a challenge. Quiana, no, I met Quiana because she was my realtor. She helped me look for various spaces.
Wow.
And so I've been preparing for this. And the funny story is, when it was time for us to close, the bank wasn't ready. But God prepared me all along. So I closed $2.7 million in cash. With 2 sweatshirts. I wore one and sold the other. And then I bought 5. And then I would drive around the tri-state in my 2009 Altima Coupe and sell Milano t-shirts and sweatshirts. If I can be up on this stage and I can do this, I want y'all to know that y'all can do it too. Ain't nothing stopping y'all but y'all. So, we closed the cash. It wasn't my plan, but God had other plans. And now we're focused on refinancing. But now I got the option. I got the leverage. I can sit back and decide on who I want to go with.
And that's you don't gotta pay the interest, okay? Talk about that. You ain't gotta pay the interest that you pay the cash.
all that. Girl, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. Okay. So Angela, we gotta keep going with the real estate. Y'all start looking her up. I'm like, I felt like I went down like a rabbit hole. So you basically own all of Brooklyn. At this point in her life. When I looked into your purchases, what I found really interesting is you purchased a property and you house hacked. And most people feel like they're too good to do that. And you brought this out property and was like, no, I'm house hacked. And someone else was paying your mortgage while you were able to acquire other property. Can you talk to us more about what gave you that idea?
Well, the first house that I bought in Brooklyn was a brownstone in Bed-Stuy. And so I bought, those are expensive by the way. So I bought a 2-family brownstone because I figured, okay, this is gonna help pay my mortgage. And so, in doing that, yes, it definitely helped me a lot. So I paid off my mortgage early. I think the first house I bought it for $985,000, and that was about 8 years ago, but it's worth double that now. So it was a great see a place that has a lot of promise. You know, there's certain deals you can get in Detroit from the land bank where they start off at $1,000, and those houses might need work, and you have to go and research that. But if you can find some contractors that can really do that, all of those houses were a win for me. So I was like, okay, when I'm gonna flip that money, and then I'm gonna buy something else. So I also bought a condo on the waterfront in Brooklyn and Williamsburg.
Brooklyn.
And so people will tell you, like, and I've seen this, don't buy things that have an HOA fee. And honestly, like, this was a great purchase for me because I didn't have to do anything to the property. It was as is. I've never had to pay any money to fix it up. I don't do anything. Like, if there's a problem, the tenant just emails the, association and they fix it. And so for me, it was kind of worth it for me. And so that is not even that big, and it rents out for $4,000 a month, and it's never been vacant. And I really, literally,
That's a blessing.
yeah, absolutely. And so that's that's already gone up in value. I bought it like 2.5 years ago. That's already gone up about $300,000 from when I purchased it, and more than pays for itself. I paid it off already, so every month that's just money in my pocket.
Y'all clap for that. Cash flow is the name of the game. Where are my Kim droppers at? Y'all know what we talking about.
After that, I bought another 2-family house in Brooklyn, and so that's another one that I'm actually doing like a full gut renovation. That's been the most work for me, and so, but fortunately I have a place to live, so it's not like, I was really fortunate that I didn't have to worry about moving into that right away because that's been a mission. But I just feel like Brooklyn is a lot more expensive to invest in, but the return that you get on your investment is greater than you would find in other places. And then I bought an Airbnb property upstate New York, and that was most recent in the Catskills. So I'll be able to Airbnb that, but also be able to use it whenever I feel like it. I see you, Tasha. I know you want to go. We'll take that trip. And then lastly, next week I'll be closing on my first big thing, a 30-unit building.
Say it again!
And that one, I'm in contract for that. So, God willing, nothing happens because until everything is done. But I did an all-female. So what I did was I got 2 of my friends, and we got a whole female team of people that are going to be working on this, from the architect on down to everything. So it's all women.
You heard her.
And so I'm just really excited about that. I think sometimes as women, when you walk into a situation or into a deal, they act like it's not just you by yourself doing it. And so it's really important for other women to see this happening, and even for me when I was younger, to see somebody else doing that's a woman and doing it on her own. And so that's what really inspired me to want to do that to begin with. So I remember thinking I'm not going to buy a house until I get married and do this and do that. And you have all these things that you're not going to buy a house until that happens. But a good investment is a good investment. And so we just have to realize that we got to make our money work. And so sometimes for me, if I see too much money, because I never had money until maybe 10 years ago, I was always broke. But once you start seeing money in your bank, at first you're like, okay, I gotta hoard it all, but then you realize it's just sitting there doing nothing, and my money has to work and make more money.
I love it. Y'all clap for her. Hold y'all. It's a heavy hitter. Now let me tell you about Pinky. I love following Pinky because she talks and she steps loud. You're not gonna not know what she's doing. Happy 4-year anniversary. So let's talk about your real estate. I could go on and on, but let me just give you a few. She has a commercial building here, a commercial building in Alabama, all the houses in Alabama, couple of houses she bought here in Atlanta, 2 condos, a townhome, her personal residence, and much, 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 much more. Pinky, girl, tell us about your real estate.
Well, first of all, I'm trying to build a real estate with y'all. Can we start it? I'm so serious. I got a lot of real estate, and I'm still learning about real estate. Y'all, I'm at real estate school right now. I'm still shit I don't understand, but I'm like, okay, all right, cool. But I own, so there's 2 parts of this. So you got properties that I own on Slutty Vegan, and I bought a headquarters downtown Edgewood for $1.4 million. That was my biggest purchase that I ever made. And everybody, all people in Atlanta, there's a lot of stuff about to happen in the Edgewood area. They're about to build Hilton hotels and all that stuff. So that 1.4 is going to triple in the next 10 years.
Make sure y'all write that down so you can invest in that area. It's Edgewood.
Edgewood is the area, and they got properties for sale, so y'all should definitely look at it. And then so I have a 70% to 30% portfolio with Slutty Vegan. 70% of the properties I purchase, 30% I lease. And the reason why I purchase these properties because I go into areas that are not so attractive to developers, right? That are in communities that are right in the heart of gentrification, and I go and I put my money in the ground. Let me tell you why I do this. If at any point that people decide to stop wanting to be slutified and go to Slutty Vegan, I own the land, I own the house, and I'm always going to be good, right? I'm not banking on Slutty Vegan income to just sustain me, even though I know that's going to be a $1 billion company. I'm going to build a $1 billion portfolio with this real estate because guess what? If I ever decide to sell my company, or if I ever decide to go public, you got to buy the brand and you got to buy the real estate. Okay, these are two separate transactions. That's what I'm talking about. Ownership, and not even just. It's not even a selfish move for me because what I get the opportunity to do is I get to go in food insecure areas, so it's a win for everybody. So I'm giving them access to healthier options, even if it's vegan comfort food. And then I also get to build an ecosystem because if Slutty Vegan does well in those areas where I buy the building, the neighboring businesses always do well because we got a line down the block. So guess what? If we got a line, they're going to walk into your store and buy stuff. So it's a win for every single real estate opportunity.
Y'all clap for that.
So that's on the Slutty Vegan side. So on the personal side, myself and my fiance, we a year and a half ago, we bought a block of houses, a parcel of houses. So it was a total of 6 houses in total, and we're fixing them up right now. I own a couple buildings in Alabama. We own a couple properties in Atlanta. So in total, it's probably like 19 on the personal side and about 10 on the business side in total. But let me tell you something about real estate, and I'm still learning, right? I am not an expert in real estate, but one thing I do, and I'm specifically talking to entrepreneurs, every time I get money, I buy a house. I see every single time I get, because I do speaking engagements, right? I talk to people, they pay me a nice little chunk of change. But when I do my speaking engagements, every single dollar earned goes to a deposit on a house. So what I suggest to you as entrepreneurs is find you a lender, find you a great realtor, go on Zillow, go on realestate.com or all these other sites and make your money, like you said, like Angela said, make your money work for you because I know at the end of the day, in 10 years, I'm going to be good, whether Slutty Vegan makes me good, whether the real estate makes me good, I'm going to be good because I'm making my money work for me. Girl, we need to, y'all heard that. Work hard. So this is what it's about. You know, making this money, you guys are all amazing business owners. And I needed to share that because we all know that and get to that next level. And what advice would you give to these women entrepreneurs and business owners to get there?
Never be comfortable. You heard what Pinky said, right? She just started investing in real estate. She enrolled in real estate school. So she's constantly investing in her education. So even y'all being here today, y'all are investing in your journey. So definitely constantly investing in yourself. Always know that it's the next level. Once you dream and once you make one dream a reality, you dream some more. You dream bigger, you dream better. You never get comfortable. When I first started, I told you I started out the trunk of my car, and then I went on e-commerce. I didn't have a mentor. So when I preach to people, I don't preach mentorship. I've had to figure this out on my own. And even today, I'm still figuring it out. Every day I go to sleep, I write down my to-do list. So I go to sleep with a goal, and I wake up with a purpose. I feel like, let me tell you something. Every day, I don't know how I'm going to get it done, but I get it done. So you don't need to know how you going to finish or how you going to start. You just got to do it and start today. I started the Womaneer Club because I didn't have a mentor. I wanted to surround myself with like-minded women where we can share resources and share advice. My goal next is to expand on that. I want to really grow the Womaneer Club because So many men in business, they tell me all about their mentors and how their mentors changed their life. I can't say that same story. I want other women to know that if I got through that door and I had to bang to get that door open, I want you guys to walk through it easily. You shouldn't have to go through the same thing that I had to go through. So with my Woman-Air Club, I created that for that. For moms. Any moms in here? Congratulations, Pinky. Congratulations. I created the Woman-Air Club because I wanted moms to know that just because you had a baby, your life isn't over. It just begun. Now it's time to really make your dreams a reality. Because you can't give up now. You got someone looking up to you. So you can always scale and diversify. So I put everything that I truly love into Milano Di Rouge so it doesn't feel like work. I have a fashion show every year. We're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. So we're having our fashion show November 11th in Atlanta. So make sure you guys get a ATL, shawty.
But no, you got your point across. You got your point across. And I can tell you that she's absolutely like this in real life. I've had the opportunity to work really close to her. I woke up one morning, Milano sent me a stock to invest in. I said, okay, girl, we prayed together. And that's one thing I can say. She's really about women in business and women empowerment in real life. Nobody would have known that if I didn't share that with y'all. Thank you for the tip, sis. All right, so next up, Angela E. You employ a lot of women. You are purposeful, you are intentional. Tell us what women can do to help us get past that. I feel like 6 figures got us in the choke club. Is it just me? I want to make my first 6 figures, I want to make my first 6 figures. But inflation is coming up higher and higher. And we have to get past that 6 figures to recognize and see that we deserve to make $1 million. How do we get there?
I think it's really important that you're intentional about who you surround yourself with. And that has helped me more than anything. Just the people you affiliate with. I think when I was younger, it was all about like having a good time. I wasn't really in the mindset of let me prepare for the future, what are my investments? Those were the conversations that we were having. But now, when I think about the people who I'm around and the people who I can actually reach out to and contact, and those are the people that I want to spend time with, are people who are doing things with their life. I mean, I'm tired of like, you won't see me anymore just being around people that are not in that mind frame of how can I do better, how can I elevate myself, how can I elevate the people around me. So now, for me even to be up here, like me even reaching out to Pinky on certain things and being like, look, this is what I'm doing, how can we work together on doing certain things. Sometimes we get intimidated to reach out to people and we feel like we have to do everything ourselves. But I think it's so important, like I see men do it all the time where they're really bold about just reaching out and just saying, this is what I want, this is what I'm trying to do, let me get your contact information. And so we need to make sure that we do all of those things, get that contact information, reach out, send that email, make a phone call, just be consistent, but not annoying, but consistent and make sure that you're bringing something to the table. I think people have asked me like, oh, can you fund this, can you do this, I want some money for this, I have a GoFundMe, but come to me with like a real plan. And so I think for yourself and for when you're trying to pitch to people, it's important to have a real plan to show how serious you are and that you mean business. And so those are some
y'all heard that, have a real plan.
Yeah. And just be around people like the people that I've been around have been elevating me so much. And it's so true, like what Pinky said, I don't want to be around a bunch of people who do the same exact thing I do. I need people who have different skill sets so that we come together, we form like Voltron, and we make a company. Like I just formed an LLC with 2 of my friends. One of them works a nonprofit and she does amazing things. Another one is a documentarian, producer, director. And we have all these plans and things. When we sit down and talk, we're not gossiping. We're talking about what our plans are and what we're trying to take over. And we're doing research. We see an article. We put it in a group text. And we're like, you see this? We can do this. Let's reach out to this person. And so I think all of us just alone, we all have our credentials. We all have our background where people see that we're serious, what we've accomplished. And then when we come together, it's like, oh, this is a serious thing. Like, I really believe in group working together and trying to accomplish things that way.
I love it. Now, Pinky, right now from Atlanta University, LLCs, right? And what I found really interesting is they had to create these businesses within 30 days, though, of graduation.
I did that on purpose.
And I know you did. So I want you to share with the audience why you made them, one, I'm gifting you an LLC, the right way, structured the right way, with the right attorney. why'd you make them have to execute within 30 days?
So, you know, they have a saying, you can lead somebody to water, but you can't make them drink, right? Y'all know that saying? So, first of all, it was an honor to be able to go back to my alma mater 13 years later and be the youngest commencement speaker, which is unheard of, so that felt really good to be able to do that. Y'all heard it. But I remember when I graduated from college, I don't remember who spoke in my commencement, right? So I wanted to do something memorable and really help jumpstart these people on the path of entrepreneurship. But I'm gonna lead you to the water, but I'm not gonna make you drink. Oftentimes, even me, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Now that I'm amassing a level of success and I'm nowhere near where I wanna be, I notice that people come to me for opportunities, but when I'm ready to give them the opportunities, they ain't ready. They are not ready. So, you know, there's also this thing, when you stay ready, you ain't never gotta get ready, right? So, okay now, I gave these students 30 days to be able to get the LLC. If you came on the 31st day, you could not get it, because guess what? On the third day, I'm gonna realize if you plan or not. On the fourth day, I'm gonna realize if you really wanna do this or you just wanna get a free LLC just to sit in the box. On the fifth day, I realized that you really don't wanna be an entrepreneur, and I'm not about to waste my money on you, right? And by the time the 30 days comes, like, you shouldn't even just apply at this point. Like, it don't even make no sense. But 714 students out of the 824 students really came and got the LLC, which is a big deal.
740 up-and-coming entrepreneurs.
Yes, and let me tell you why that made me feel good. Because even if you want to go out, people have this misconception that you got to be an entrepreneur. You're not going to be successful if you're not an entrepreneur. That's a lie. That's not the truth. You can be hustle man. You can have a 9 to 5 and you can still be an entrepreneur at the same time. So I wanted these people to know that if you get that corporate job, if you want to go to medical school, it don't matter what you want to do. You can still use your LLC to put your cell phone in your business. You can put your cable in your business. You can put all the assets, things that you have in your business while you're still working for someone else. But I think that they were really happy about it, and it made me feel good, because guess what? Out of all 700 plus of those people, there's going to be at least 100 of the people that's going to build $1 billion brand, and that makes me feel good that I can give them that vision.
Y'all gotta clap for that. That's amazing. That is amazing. I think it's important for us to understand that as business women, we're still women. We still want to have a soft life, right? But having it all in today's world looks so different for everybody, right? Some of us are just married, some of us are not, some of us have kids, whatever it is. What does having it all look like for each and every one of you guys? And give it to me in a good sentence.
That's a great question. Having it all is the career, the family, the great husband that's supportive, and building a relationship with God, living the lifestyle that I dreamed of, and living life on my own terms while being a good person.
I love that. Next up.
I would say for me, having it all means being able to do what I want to do when I feel like doing it, and also making enough so that I can do great things to other people. Because I think one of the greatest things you can do is to be successful, but feel like you're doing great positive things for people in the community, so that we can all be successful together. So I really ideally want to be able to make enough money that I can help other people do whatever businesses they want to do, be able to invest in women in particular, you know, because that's really important to me, investing in women and investing in Black women and people in my community. So that's why a lot of the businesses that I do are in Brooklyn.
Love it, love it. And Pinky.
Having it all. By the way, it's a whole lot happening.
I know, right?
We gotta be real. I just had a baby 3 weeks ago, y'all, so it's a whole lot happening. Having it all to me is being a CEO, being a philanthropist, being a mom of 2, being a fiance, because I just got engaged.
Congratulations.
Being a friend, being a sister, being a daughter, being a provider, being a lover, being somebody who is a resource, and being able to do all of those things equally and not having to compromise any of those. You can have anything that you want as long as you prioritize and you give some to each of those things. You know, they say that you can't be a good mom and you can be a good entrepreneur at the same time. That's a damn lie. You can be all of those things and you can make it look good and show up and put your face